Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for you today. And if you've ever wondered why I haven't told you what trinkets to use for single target on boss fights, that's a good question. Let's answer it right here. So yes, it is another Excel document, but hey, this time I added shapes and colors. So hey, a positive. But yeah, basically this is the same test that I've run previously on the 3 targets and for the sidekick and henchman individually, but this time I did them on pure single target because that will affect how the trinket does damage. Just like I said before in my previous video, which is basically what inspired this one, is the Sunken Runeslayer, the Summer Event trinket being the best damage trinket in the game. That one is an AoE based trinket, so all the moves are AoE based. There's no single target based moves like like the Seahorse for example. So that damage reflected on single target is going to be different because it's not designed for single target. Same thing as like the snake turrets, same thing as the boos for example. So let's kind of take a look at what the top is and we'll kind of work our way down. So going back up, so boo utility belt times 4 is still at the top. That's just too much power with the utility belt, but not that much of a gap between the shadow bat. Unfortunately, players won't be able to get anymore because that's from the survival mode. But you can get the dark contract back, which isn't that far behind. It's pretty much the same. So with being only 370, this is at all CR 308 and 303 technically with the boo utility belt because it drops your CR. So to be at 378k versus 339k and 334k, that's not that big of a gap. For all the players that are struggling with popping boos and then lagging on their armories, popping back to it to start the boss fight, I mean a lot of the times it's probably going to be a damage loss for you because you could just summon one shadow bat and it's going to do nearly the same damage of all these players, like setting specific armories just for boo utility belts just so they can pop them before a boss, where you could simply pop a shadow bat, almost match their damage, and then while they're trying to lag back from an armory, or they summon them before the boss fight so the boos don't last the entire duration because their cooldown's already started internally. So it's I haven't tested in a raid versus someone using 4 boos because that'd just be too much. It'd be pretty annoying. But I mean, the math is pretty much there. So with being only like a 40k difference, you can easily get like a 40k off a few attacks. So it lead me to believe that it's going to be, in some situations, it'll be a damage loss to use the 4 boos and worry about switching armories and all that junk just over a shadow bat or a dark contract bat. Below that we got the boo utility belt times 3, so that keeps it CR 308, and we're just dropping Mr. Boo, which is the weakest damage. So yeah, it's still 300k. It's not far off from these because it has a CR increase. Below that we got the Seahorse. The Seahorse was kind of the first trinket that was designed for single target with that kind of pulse beam that it does. Along with that we've got Robot Sidekick Melee, and then we got the Summer Event trinket. So really it only dropped 4 slots. So yeah, you had a big increase from like the Shadow Bat and the Dark Contract back just because they have those large single target hits. I think it's like 20. I think they're like 20 to 30k in that range at CR 308. But I mean, the Summer Event trinket being the best damage trinket in the game only dropped 4 slots for pure single target. And I mean, this is pure single target. There's not too many boss fights in the game that are pure single. Even if you look at like Clock Tower. Clock Tower has the drones that come out at the end, so that's gonna be some AoE. The first boss fight, obviously there's tons of AoE. Just even those 2 bosses, you have all the drones, you have the 2 bosses themselves. So there's not too many purely single target fights in the game. So that's why the 3 target ones are still going to be handy, and that's what these rankings are based off. So basically I ranked them all what they were ranked on 3 targets, what they were ranked on single target. So that's what all these numbers mean. So if it moved up a slot, if it stayed the same, or if it dropped a slot from where it was ranked before on AoE. Then Robot Psychic Range. This one saw a big increase because the previous test I did was not when they buffed Robot Psychic's damage. So that's why you see like a huge jump in 12, just because they buffed Psychic's damage. But I mean, Robot Psychic Melee and Range, they made it pretty much exactly the same, so there's not night and day differences between them anymore. That was the change they made. Boo Utility Belt 2, a big jump, down 5. The Antimatter and the Green Crystal Turret, these ones are the pure single target ones, so you would think they'd be a little bit higher, but they're not. 190 versus like 300, so they're still much better to use like a Shadow Bat or Dark Contract Bat in that case. But these are burst. So for example, all this damage is over 60 seconds, where Green Crystal and Antimatter, this happens in 10 seconds. So in 10 seconds, you got almost 200k, where 60 seconds, you got 339k. So it'll depend on the situation. If the boss is about to die, or if he's at some kind of like, say like Shatter Gotham, where Faust has a shield. Obviously, it's a lot better to use this because you're going to have much more burst damage to drop a shield mechanic like that, rather than like a slower trinket. But I mean, if you're using the Source Shard artifact, that doesn't work on these turrets. That works on Enions. So if you're using Source Shard, you won't be able to use Green Crystal and Antimatter anyway, or the Snake Turret or the Shadow Snake Turret. Brainiac Pet, LexCorp jumped a bit. That's because it's pure single target. Same thing, Sewer Hench. The Henchmen actually got a little bit higher just because they're based on the weapon attacks, so some weapon attacks will be better on single target or split more damage. So they saw some pretty good jumps. Brainiac Henchman saw a big jump. Other than that, they're really the ones that took massive drops on single target. Obviously the Snake and Shadow, that's just, they're not designed whatsoever for single target, so that's like self-explanatory. Heartbreak saw a big jump. The Boos, absolute trash. They dropped all 20 slots because the Boos are just not designed whatsoever for single target. They're purely AoE. They're only good when they're all put together. So if you're thinking that you have a Boo on your utility belt, don't drop it. Never use a Boo on a boss ever. The Dark Contract Bat is completely viable to get. It drops off the first boss, and what was that alert called? I'm drawing a blank now. It's the one where you fight Dawnbreaker. I don't know. Somebody could put it in the comment section. I'm forgetting at the moment, but it drops off the first boss only. So not only is it tradable, so you could buy it on the broker, but all you have to do is run the first boss, and then you don't even have to finish the alert. You could just run the first boss. If you don't get it, then done. So yeah, the Shadow Bat you can't get anymore. The Seahorse you can easily get too. That's just from the race. That's from a collection reward. So you just do the races in Atlantis. Dark Contract Bat you can get on the broker. Like I said, just keep running the first boss. So you can still easily get that. Antimatter you can't get that anymore. That's the anniversary event. Green Crystal, that was the summer. That was survival mode as well. Obviously you can still get Robot Sidekick. You can get the summer event one right now. So I mean 60k difference is still a fair chunk, but I mean if you can't get the Seahorse, then I told you to get the summer event trinket anyway. It's not like it's that bad. The summer event trinket is still the 7th best trinket for AoE or for single target damage, and that's including 2 Boo utility bills, so technically it's 5. But yeah, Boo saw a big jump. Psychic's kind of trash too. Dual wield obviously is not meant for single target because it's not flurry shotting, because flurry shotting is a bow. So dual wield took a big dive as well. But yeah, that's where it is, guys. Did have some help. Hope Summer, Syndra, Void, and Emperor title helped me with some of the ones I don't have. And then remember, once again, this came up in the other video as well. Eerie Jack, all the Jack trinkets, Death Blossom, Blossoming Spore, they're fake damage. Half the damage they do is fake. It's easy to see. Just look at the combat log and look for the highest hit. It'll be purple damage. It does not show up on the scorecard, but it shows up in the combat damage summary. Your Eerie Jack is not hitting for 100k in one big hit. That's not happening. It doesn't show up whatsoever. I've tested this through and through. I proved it in the last video in an unlisted video upload. So once again, fake damage from those 3. And then the only trinket this is every single trinket in the entire game except the Flying Jester, because I don't have that. So we can kind of jump to the summary here. It's pretty much what you guys saw before. But there's not so much of as a divide. Like, yeah, in the top 10, kind of from like the LexCorp trinket up to Boo utility belt times 4, these are all pretty like much over 200k. But then once you get below that, pretty much every trinket is within like 60 to 100k. So there's not that much of a gap between them all. And of course, all the sidekicks are much lower, but single target ones don't have as much damage spread as AoE in terms of the trinket damage. So, there you go, guys. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below. And have a great day. See you in the next video.